Looks like people just, oh, yes, we want to continue recording. So it's a little after 6, and we're going to go ahead and get going. And Aaron, did you want to say anything for housekeeping or anything?
Yes, if you have any questions, feel free to enter them into the chat box. We will be looking at those and answering them at the end of this presentation. So Lisa has a presentation for 45 minutes. Last 15 minutes is Q&A, and feel free to converse right there in the chat box.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to get us going here, and I'm happy that each of you are joining us again. I am going to learn how to share my screen. So we are going to share my screen, and hopefully it works. Did it share? It shared? Yay! Okay. So here, I'm going to move it in front of me. Oh, wait, maybe I won't. I better just put it right back where it was at. Okay. I have 2 screens, and I want to make sure that it's on the right one. So we're going to go ahead and start our slideshow. And here we go. I'm going to be speaking on distractions and productivity while working remotely. Because we are all in a new world here with having to work from our homes or from alternate workplaces. There's a lot of information that are things that we may not think about or see. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started here. And a little bit about myself. I am originally from Roseburg, grew up there, lived there, graduated high school from Roseburg High, and then moved away after I got married, moved to San Diego, and have owned and operated my own businesses for the last 25 years. I've had a martial arts school where I've opened it from beginning to end, from negotiating the lease to running the daily operations of it, and then also teaching the classes. And in addition, I have a low voltage cabling company where we put in low voltage cabling. And then also, I also have taught business courses at a college in San Diego. And so this is going to be a different format for me because I am not used to sitting and teaching. I am used to using a whiteboard and standing when I teach. So this is going to take a little bit of getting used to. So bear with me here. All right, so that's also I have a master's in business administration. I graduated summa cum laude, and so I'm pretty proud of that because it was a lot of hard work, something I wanted to be able to show my children that I could do so that they could do it as well. So a little bit about myself. Distractions and productivity. So I'm going to share a video, 2-minute video with all of you so that we kind of put ourselves in the right mind frame of before we actually start our discussion. So we're going to go ahead and start that video now. So just open your mind and listen to what this gentleman has to say. Hopefully it works. Okay, we're going to get past the ad. There we go. This one.
Lisa?
Yes.
Currently, it is sharing just your PowerPoint screen, and so we're not able to see the visual.
Oh, okay. I thought everyone was seeing it, so we cannot see the video. Okay, so let me do this. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to just start the video and share this screen, hopefully.
Yeah, if you share the whole screen, it'll probably show up.
Hopefully. I gotta figure out how to do that, so bear with me while I share. Is it sharing yet? Can you guys see it yet?
Not yet,
Okay.
Lisa.
Okay, how about
try stopping sharing for a second and then
Okay.
click on the share screen button again, and you should have the option of selecting your whole screen.
Okay, so stop sharing. Okay, and then we're gonna share the video is in my PowerPoint. So this is technology we are learning together, so bear with me. I thought that I had this all handled. Can you guys see my screen yet?
Not yet.
Okay, give me a minute. I apologize. And then I'm opening the video up first, and then I'm going to try and share my screen.
We get it. You don't really want your kids watching videos, but it can have certain.
Okay. I'm going to pause it, and then now I'm going to go to share my screen from here, from Zoom. Here we go, and share my screen. And then we're going to go to here. I'm going to share this video. Can you see something now?
Yes, got it.
Okay, there we go. So redo, timeout, here we go.
So distraction is everywhere. In fact, it's not any problem. Plato talked about akrasi, the tendency that we all have to do things against our better interest. Well, today, of course, the world is maybe even more distracted because unlike 25, 30 years ago, we have these devices that we carry around with us all the time. So the fact is, while distraction is nothing new, if you are seeking distraction, then distraction you will find. And so what people get caught up in are these tasks that always feel urgent, that we're constantly reacting to things, and we have no time for reflecting on things. So when we talk about distraction, we have to make sure we understand what exactly we mean by this term. A lot of people will tell you, if you say, what is the opposite of distraction? They'll tell you the opposite of distraction is focus. But that's not exactly true. In fact, the opposite of distraction is not focus. The opposite of distraction is traction. So traction is any action that pulls you towards what you want to do in life, things that you do with intent. The opposite of traction is distraction, anything that pulls you away from what you plan to do with intent. Most distraction in our lives starts from within. And an internal trigger is a response to an uncomfortable emotional state, when we feel something that we want to escape from, when we feel boredom, anxiety, fatigue, loneliness, stress, whatever it might be that we are experiencing, we are turning to distractions to feel something different. And that is why time management fundamentally is pain management. If we don't recognize the fact that if we don't deal with these responses to these uncomfortable emotional states, we will always get distracted by something.
Okay, so now I'm going to share the PowerPoint again. And okay. Now I got to get back to the PowerPoint, so bear with me again, sorry. I should have just sent you my PowerPoint, Erin. Can you guys see the PowerPoint?
No.
Okay.
So you'll need to click share screen again.
Yep, share screen. And I got to open it back up.
I would like to take this moment to bring up that we are going to do a couple of updates to these. So stay tuned for more information on that, but we do intend on meeting up with you in the evening a time or two again to continue updates. This commercial was brought to you by Zoom.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so I've got it open now and go back to the Zoom session. I'm going to share my screen. Share my screen, here we go. I'm going to share it and then, got it. And we're going to, nope, we are going to, nope. Where's my video button? Slideshow, there it is, sorry. Okay, so are we, can we see it now? Okay, good. Okay, so hopefully everyone is in the right mind frame, because was that distracting, not being able to have everything put together and having to wait for everything to kind of just wait on me to get you the technology? So that's kind of what we're dealing with on a daily basis now, aren't we? We have so many distractions that are coming at us. And so we're going to start with creating an environment, a distraction-free environment. That means that if your kids are, you know, in the bathroom running water when your door is wide open, that can be a distraction for you. So, you know, maybe they'll shut the door for you so that they can't hear you or you can't hear them. And there's just lots of things that are in our elements that are distracting. Kids are one of them. And so are spouses and animals and outside things that can be distracting, or and then these things are distracting, you know, our phones. You know, we have them sitting here and, you know, we'll get a text message or a voicemail, and next thing you know, you're scrolling through everything. So one thing that I would suggest is creating an environment that's distraction free. So I used this picture here because it looks like it's a clean space that doesn't have a lot of things laying around to distract from what it is that you're trying to work on. Next, set a time, a specific time that you're going to be checking your emails. And I know that we check our emails all day long and we get them, but what often happens is we'll open an email and then we're kind of in a rabbit hole because you open an email and you're reading it and then, oh, I got to do this. And then bing, another email comes through and then, oh, I got to do this. And then the next thing you know, you haven't accomplished anything for the entire day. So a point that we could do here is we could set a time, a specific time during the day where we check our emails, if that will work for the type of work that you do. So that can be one way that we can eliminate some of those distractions. Another thing is that I'm noticing that through all of this COVID-19, that there are meeting after meeting after meeting. And a suggestion would be, don't attend another bad meeting. Meaning that just because you're invited to attend a meeting, if it doesn't have relevance to what you're doing in your job or how you can provide some positive information for that meeting, sometimes it's better not doing that meeting. So you don't have to attend every meeting that you're invited to in the work world, unless of course your boss tells you have to. Then of course you probably should. But sometimes it's okay to miss those meetings, which brings us to the next thing that kind of will help us with our distractions. Don't be afraid to say no. Meaning that is that sometimes we say yes to everything, and we clutter our life with so many different things that we cannot stay focused on what it is that we're trying to accomplish. So it really is okay to say no. And some of us need to hear that a little more than others. So saying no is really okay. It'll reduce the amount of distractions that we have because we don't have so many things on our plate. Schedule around your energy time. With this one, some people are morning people. I know that someone had told me that, you know, they get up at, 4 in the morning, and that's when they do their best work. So when they're up at 4 a.m. doing, they're sending out their emails and doing, because that's when their brain is most alert. So as individuals, we all know when we work best. I know when I'm at my optimal, and it's not at 4 a.m. But, 10 a.m. I'm great, and I'm great until about 8 p.m. So, knowing when you function the best. So if you can put your schedule around when you're functioning at a higher capacity, that would be a way to eliminate some of those distractions, because when your brain is tired and foggy, you're less likely to be able to maintain what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Now we're going to move on to some working remotely. Hopefully you got some good tips for not being distracted. Working remotely, this picture here reminded me of how a lot of us are when our kids are little. I'm reminded of a time when I was working remotely, and I had my two boys who at the time were kindergarten and 4, so they weren't quite in school. And I would park one of them in front of the TV because it was kind of in lieu of babysitting at the time. And then my break time would come and I'd run and get in the car and we would run to the bus stop so my kindergartner could go to school. And then we'd run back and sit him back in front of the TV, and then I would get back to work. But in the meantime, it was like just all the kids just on you because you can't do anything. So I just thought this little clip, it was kind of cute on how our lives really look when we work remote with children sometimes. One thing that we can do while working remotely is over communicating. Over communicating lets people know that what you're doing is still relevant, and you're staying in communication with one another. It's important to be able to have that open line of communication, emails, phone calls, text messages. That way people understand that you are still functioning, doing your job, and that you're still available to them. Consider your workspace. I think that this is a really important thing to look at when we're working remote. And some of us have been thrown into a workspace, and we may not have had a workspace, so we've had to create one. And so while you're working from home or remotely, make sure that your area is someplace that's conducive of work. So if you're working from your bedroom, try and make sure that you're not working from you're not laying in your bed working, because then you get the mindset that it's kind of chill, relaxed time. But if you can actually get yourself sitting in an upright position, and so that you actually feel like you're at work, because when we are not, and if we're laying in bed, we tend to be a little more relaxed about the way we handle our business. Leaning on your community. And I think right now, more than any time, we are leaning on those that are in our community, on each other. Kim shared a really good story earlier in our staff meeting. And you don't mind if I share, do you, Kim? Okay. A group of individuals went out, and they recognized some of the postal workers. And it was great because those postal workers really needed that encouragement. And so when we're working from home, we need to lean on one another, providing positive affirmation, positive feedback, so that we continue to be. It's hard when you're working away from people. So leaning on the community is still very important. And so I just thought that was a really good story that Kim had shared about sharing. They went to the post office and they gave bagels to, I think was there 100 people?
It ended up being 60 people, and
okay.
And it is one of those things where everybody just kept conspiring. The more people we told, people donated coffee, and yeah. Thanks for sharing.
Yes, so I thought that was a very good share. Okay, and next thing we're moving on to invest in reliable technology. It's important to have a good internet connection, especially when we're utilizing Zoom and FaceTime through our technology. If we have spotty internet, it's going to make it very difficult to communicate very well. And then also, the computer that you're using, make sure that it's something that's not going to be unreliable. Make sure that it's consistent with what it is that you have to do, that you have all the tools that you need. Also even the chair that you're sitting in. If you have a chair that's like an outdoor chair and it's like a folding one, and you may not be able to get through and have the stamina to get through your day if you don't have the proper place to have your work at. Have the normal things that you would have at your desk if you were working in an actual office setting. So if you use a calculator, have that calculator handy. Have your scratch paper that you're writing down your notes on, have that handy as well. So it's important to have reliable technology. Take time to invest in yourself. You know, it's still important that you're still getting some positiveness about what it is that you're doing in your daily life, so that you have a good work-life balance. Because sometimes when you're working in a remote situation, you tend to find yourself working all hours of the day, and you don't know when to turn off your technology, and to turn off separate work from pleasure or your free time. So it's off. So make sure that you're taking the time to invest in yourself. And that brings me to my next slide, which knowing when to log off. It's important to be able to actually turn it off for the day, and know that it's okay that even if you get an email at 7 o'clock at night, you don't have to respond to that email. Just let it go to email. And in the morning when you return, you can return that email. It's okay. This is really an important one. And this is something that I know that I do in my daily activities. At the end of each night, I go through and I'll make a to-do list of the things that I want to accomplish the next day, things that I want to have to get done. Because if I'm not planning for my day, I'm not going to be successful in it. So I may not get to everything on my to-do list every single day. It'll carry over to the next day until it eventually will get off my list. But if I don't make a list and I don't plan for the way that I'm going to handle my day, things will get missed, and I'm not going to find success. Hygiene. This is an important one, and I know that these might be kind of silly, and we might think, well, everyone takes a shower. Well, no, not everyone does take a shower. Not everyone changes their clothes, but it's still important to get up, take a shower, wash your face, brush your teeth, because you want to put yourself in a mind frame that you're still in an office, even though you're not physically in an office with other people. Good hygiene, and especially now, I mean, we have to have good hygiene. We have to be washing our hands and things like that to get rid of the cooties. So remember to take a shower daily. Don't work in your pajamas. Another thing that an important tip, and some people are, excited because they're like, I don't have to wear pants. But it's still important that you get up, put on work attire. I was in a network director's call, and one of the guys, he was at his home office, and he was in a shirt and a tie, which was great because he put himself in the mindset that he was still going to work, even though he was at home. He still put on his shirt and his tie for the day. So not working in your pajamas is really important, because when we sit in our pajamas, we tend to think that we're not working. Even though it's really comfortable, still important to get dressed for the day as if you're going to the office. Create a morning routine. So if your morning routine consists of getting up at 6 a.m., taking your shower, getting dressed, having up a cup of coffee, making yourself some breakfast, continue with that routine. Don't skip that routine just because your office is now next door in your office at your home, and you don't have to get in your car and drive to a physical location. It's still important to create that morning routine, and as well as an evening routine. So if your evening routine consists of clocking off at 5 o'clock, clock off at 5, and go to the gym, or you can't go to the gym right now, but do the things that you normally would. So if you're going for a walk, go for a walk in the evening. If you're taking your lunch at 1 o'clock, take your lunch at 1 o'clock, even if you are working from that remote setting. Connection with coworkers is still very important. You know, we still are working together, and, you know, let's face it, a lot of us, you know, we may not have friends outside of work, and our coworkers become, you know, those people that we lean on when we need to talk to someone. So still feel free to take a minute during your day, text them going, hey, thinking about you today, hope that you're doing well. You know, give me a call later this evening, let's catch up, let's do a Zoom session where we can just, you know, video chat with one another. So important to be able to connect with your coworkers. Get regular exercise. Like I had mentioned at the beginning of the call, you know, I went out for a quick walk before we started this session. It's important that we get the physical exercise in, especially because right now our refrigerators might be right next door to us, and we take more refrigerator breaks than we do walking breaks. When you're in the office, you actually have to walk to your car, walk into the office, and so it's important to, you know, keep that regular exercise, because that helps keep our minds fresh for the day. This is really a big one, and I probably should have put this slide towards the front, but set expectations with those who live with you, whether it be your spouse or your children, your friends, roommates, whoever it is that lives with you. Let them know what your expectations are, So even if you are in the home during the day, doesn't mean that you're there. You're at your job, and you know, they can't just come down and go, hey, it's lunchtime, let's do lunch right now, and you're in the middle of a conference call. You can't do that. That you need to let them know that these are my working hours. I take lunch between this time, and this is my expected time that I get off work. So that way there isn't, it'll alleviate some of those difficult conversations when people get their feelers hurt because you didn't give them the attention that they wanted when they wanted it. So set those clear expectations for the people who live in your home. Identify and mitigate distractions. So if you know that you've got a problem with Facebook, take it off your computer. Take it off of your phone during the day. You can always re-download it. If you know you have a problem with video games, don't put the console next to your computer or where you're working at. If your distractions are your animals, don't let your animals sit at your feet if they are that distraction for you. So making sure that you have as few distractions as possible is an important thing to remember while working remotely. And this is something that's important, as we saw from the very beginning when we were trying to share the video. Practice video conference calls. Important to do that, because otherwise you're going to be on a live session. And I planned all this, by the way, just so you guys can see that it's important to do these things. So practicing video conference calls, because otherwise you can be on a call and things aren't going to go the way that you had hoped they would. Some things I'd like to add on to this video conferencing call: know your surroundings when you're doing a video conference call. When I was teaching, I had a class that with one of my students, and we did these daily checkpoints where they would go in and they'd do like a daily thought, or they'd have a question they'd have to answer. And so I wanted them to get used to doing some remote technology signing in. And so I asked them to put a video, instead of doing the written portion of it, I wanted them to do a video chat. And so I get this video chat response from one of my students, and I couldn't help but laugh out loud, because he's in his bedroom and he's thinking he's being very professional, but behind him is his bed, and it's like all jumbled, messed up, crazy. He's got clothes everywhere, food wrappers everywhere, and it was just a complete and total mess. So make sure that you're aware of your surroundings and that you've got good lighting, so that when you're on these calls, that people can see. So testing it out beforehand, you will be able to see whether or not you've got good lighting. You'll be able to see if you have a dirty pair of socks sitting on the floor that people can see, or you got cobwebs in your ceiling that people can see. Whatever it might be, take a good look at your surroundings before you actually start that video chat. Also take a look at the way your camera is positioned. Because there might be, the way the camera is positioned may not be a good look for you, and it might show areas of you that you may not want people to see. So make sure that you're dressed appropriately so that we're not exposing body parts that shouldn't be exposed during video conferencing, and people don't see that. You don't want people to see that. So make sure that those things are, yes, cover up if you need to in those areas. Because your camera will capture things that you may not even be paying attention to and you cannot see. So by practicing that, it's important. Even if you go into a Zoom and before anyone's even on there, look at the way the camera is set up. So these are some things that I thought were important. And through my research, I did not put my references in my slide, so pardon me for not doing that. But I did a lot of research to determine kind of what were some of the standard practices from working from home, what the common thread was on things that people found were difficulties and things that they should know while working remotely. And so we're going to recap. We want to, let's go back. Recap we want a distraction-free environment. We want to set aside a specific time to check our emails. Don't go on another bad meeting. Don't be afraid to say no. Schedule around your energy time. Over-communicate. Consider your workplace or workspace. Lean on your community. Invest in reliable technology. Take time to invest in yourself. Know when to log off. Plan your work ahead of time. Hygiene is still important. Don't work in your pajamas. Create a morning routine. Connect with coworkers. Regular exercise is still important. Set reasonable expectations for those that you live with. Identify and mitigate any distractions that are in your working area, and practice video conferencing. So that is what I have, and I did not time it, so it might be a little bit short, but that's what I have. So at this time, we will open it up to any questions that we may have.
We currently have no questions, so you must have done a great job presenting, Lisa.
Okay.
If anyone does have, so here's a question. Small business tech practice available is a question.
I'm trying to get to the Zoom session.
That was actually from me, Lisa. We've had clients in the past call and ask an advisor to look at their technology and just kind of say what maybe the technology would be good for their environment, that kind of a thing. And it occurred to me as you were talking about familiarity with Zoom meetings, is this something that a small business could get advising on?
Can you repeat the question one more time, Kim?
Tech help.
Okay.
Small business owners, kind of what software, hardware, those kinds of questions.
Well, tech they would probably discuss whoever they work with their technology with. So if they have a tech department, that's who they may want to go to for that.
Yeah, I'm Steven's tech department for our business. I could use some professional development in those areas myself.
Yeah. Anyone have anything else that they would like to discuss? Yes, Becky? Did you raise your hand? Oh, do you want to unmute Becky?
Sure, yeah. Becky, there you are. Okay, go ahead, Becky.
Oh, I just retyped in my question. So I'm working from home. I'm sitting at my computer. I'm using the phone all day long. And at 5 o'clock, I just want to walk away from the computer. But I'm also trying to start my own business. And I need to work on that in the evenings. And I just can't be motivated to sit at the computer for another 3 or 4 hours.
Take a minute, take a breath, walk away from it for a little while, regroup, refresh, and then you can go back to it. But you still you need to be able to take that time. Otherwise, you will get burned out. And I know from experience, owning and operating my own businesses, from the minute you wake up in the morning, you're thinking about the business and how you can grow the business and what you can do in the business, what you can do different in the business. And if you don't take that time to refresh, you just get bogged down and you won't be able to think. And you need to be able to think freshly sometimes. So just take a minute to, even if it's just walk around the block, get a cup of coffee, just do something to step away, because when you come back, you can have a fresh perspective on what it is that you're working on. And I know it's hard for entrepreneurs, because an entrepreneur mindset, people are constantly thinking of ways to grow and evolve their business. So it's really hard to really take that step away.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa, I was just, there's a question about whether or not we addressed any, or if we have any latest recommendations for small businesses and the PPP or the EIDL, the loans.
As of right now, they did announce that those funds, there weren't any more funds, but I was just on a call this afternoon, and they had said that they're urging Congress to go ahead and push through more funds for those programs, but they have not been, it has not been approved as of yet, and they're hoping that we might know something as of Monday. But right now, it's still, it's kind of unknown territory.
Okay. There was also a question that was a private message to me, and it was just wondering if there was, I'm going to do a poll real quick. Is there anyone on this call who would appreciate like a quick Zoom session just focused on teaching business owners how to host a meeting and like the housekeeping items, to kind of walking through just the kind of the technical aspects of using Zoom if you were to host something like that? If you would, just type in yes in the chat box. Okay, and then there's another question here. So kind of a follow-up on Kim's question. The person says, I am my business. So she is also the tech department, I'm assuming. So what tech resources are available from the SBDC?
What tech resources? Well, we do have some advisors that are very tech savvy. So I'm sure that if they contacted our office, we can see if we can put them in touch with one of our tech savvy advisors to see if there's a way that they can assist them with whatever technical issue they may be having.
Great.
And our lines are open. So if you do need an advising session for some of these issues, you can still contact our office. We may not be able to meet you in person right now, but we are conducting phone call advising as well as Zoom advising. So we could be able to assist even during this time for those issues.
Okay, that was the last of our questions. If anyone else has any more questions, please enter them in the chat box. And maybe while people are doing that, Lisa, anything else you'd like to add in terms of what's coming up with these calls?
Yes, we will be doing just a follow-up starting next week, and I believe we decided on Monday at 6 o'clock for more of what we find out from the financial end of it. You still need to go into Encore and registered, or the UCC, however it is that you registered for this class. Go in there and register for that class as well. This helps us keep track of the need for these types of sessions. And so we'll be doing that Monday at 6 o'clock, I believe. We also have some other courses that we are putting together that will be available to help you with different areas of your business. We're going to be doing, we were talking about at the beginning of this class, Canva. We were talking about that. So we are creating a class, content for Canva, which I think can be very important for those of you who are owning and operating your own businesses, so that you can get information out there, so you're not paying someone to do that for you when you have the tools and the capability to do it yourself and be able to save yourself some money. We also are going to be putting together another class, and what class is that?
We have an Encore Solo Business Builder
Yes.
class coming up.
Yes.
And since I'm teaching it, I might as well just say a
Please.
quick word about it.
Uh-huh.
It is for anyone who, and anyone you would know who is just kind of in that transition spot, and they're thinking that they might want to turn their hobby, something they've been passionate about for many years, into a business. Maybe they got laid off, or maybe it's just they feel like it's time to become their own boss and become an entrepreneur. It's a very kind of 101 class, entry into startups or becoming a solopreneur, but we walk through the whole gamut of what it looks like. So if you know anyone that's interested, we're going to start April 30th, and we're looking for a registration. So just check out our website, bizcenter/Umpqua, or call us, and we'll give you more information.
Mm-hmm. Also, I saw in the chat that someone was asking about the QuickBooks for contractors that Gail is going to be teaching, and we will be offering that as well. I'm not sure the exact date of when that starts, but we will be offering that. So if you do have interest in that course, give us a call so that we can walk you through getting registered for it.
Great. Just wanted to point out, Kim already answered this question, but there was a question about when the recordings would be available on YouTube. And so Kim is on that, and it looks like they'll be ready tomorrow, and an email will be sent out. So thanks, Kim.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye. Be safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. Are we still there? I can't seem to get mine to go back to big screen.